Whether you're looking for answers to specific life questions or simply hoping to become the best version of you possible, welcome to the Mental Breakdown and Psychreg podcast, where we offer insight, information, and strategies based upon research and years of practice as psychologists. So sit back, have a listen, and get connected with our hosts, Dr. Berney Wilkinson and Dr. Richard Marshall. So here we are, day 3 of the International Conference in Psychology, Counseling, and Education. Our third day in the Philippines.
Recording live?
We are recording live. We actually have a little bit of an audience.
This is live, right? No, we have a bit of an audience out there, but we are recording live.
I can't hear them.
From this wonderful conference, this event that we've all been invited to. Combination of education, psychology, and counseling. And here we are with our first guest.
And who has to be some relative, because we have
the
same...
let me do this.
We have the same name?
This will be Dr. Berney Wilkinson interviewing Dr. Dean Wilkinson. They claim they're not related, but we all know better.
We won't tell that.
Some things will remain confidential.
That's right.
But welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much.
And you're here. I'm really excited about our talk because we've wanted to have someone to come on and talk about forensic psychology for a long time. We've talked about that and just haven't found the right person to talk to about it. And so this is the perfect opportunity.
Thank you. I'll try and fulfill that.
Well, great. Well, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and how you got into forensic psychology.
Okay. So I'm from England, which means that we're not related. Sorry.
Well, my grandfather is from England. It's where the Wilkinson family name came from. So
maybe we are.
Well, that's what everybody told me. I don't know if it's true.
So I'm from England. I guess I got interested in psychology when I was studying my A-levels, so just after secondary school in England, and I accidentally ended up studying psychology. Up until then I was interested in music and performance, and psychology was the last subject on the list that would fit with a combination of the other subjects that I chose. So my journey into psychology was by accident in a way. And then I think as soon as I started, it didn't take long until I realised that actually I'm probably more interested in this subject than any other that I've been studying. And then obviously I went to study at degree level, and then went into doing my PhD after studying my undergraduate. And I think I was very fortunate during that time to, whilst I was doing my PhD, not only just be doing my PhD research, but also be involved in other bits of research, which is where I've had the opportunity to do the research around older offenders and arts, which I spoke about earlier this week on Thursday at this conference. And I obviously met very good people who have helped me en route. So you'll be hearing from Laura in another podcast, I believe,
yes.
Who was one of my PhD supervisors, and we've carried on doing research together around the arts in prison. So you can do a bit from there as well.
I'm curious, loved your research, really appreciate what you present here at the conference. How did you select, I would say offenders is your area of expertise. Now I understand where the art fits in, because you were an artist first, right? So you combined the two. How did you choose elderly offenders?
Well, it's interesting again, I don't think I think sometimes as researchers we talk about passion projects, the things we're really motivated by, that have come from ourselves, that we want to understand more about for ourselves. And I think sometimes we're given projects that are opportunities. So, we're interested in it. And often I describe myself not so much as, I'm not a chartered forensic psychologist, but I'm a psychologist that does research in prisons and with offenders and around crime. And often I'll describe myself as an applied psychologist because I think really I'm about using the tools in terms of research methods to explore. So, I wouldn't define myself in qualitative or quantitative, and I wouldn't say that I have expertise necessarily in either of those, but I'll use the tools that are there and I'll learn more about the tools, and the most appropriate tool to explore, whichever issue has come up for me to explore. So around the arts really, even though I had a background in the arts, I was provided with an opportunity when I was doing my PhD to work as an RA on a project, and part of that was to go into prisons and conduct some research. So you can imagine that freshly graduated, starting your PhD, and then suddenly being given the opportunity to go into prison and interview offenders. And that was a steep learning curve for me.
It would have been one of the questions that I'm sure will come up are the prisons in the UK, would they be similar to prisons as we understand it in the US?
And I think we've had conversations around this as well, so that's a nice question. And I think there are some big differences, and often when I'm teaching the students back at home, I will talk about the prisons in England and Wales, because even the prison system in Scotland, the criminal justice system in Scotland is completely different to England and Wales. So I think in our conversation that we had the other day, you mentioned that there's a difference between jails and prisons. We don't have that. So prisons are prisons. Whether you're in there for 12 months or whether you're in there for a life sentence. What we do have is different categories of prisons. The categories are based on the risk that the offenders are to society. So if you're high risk, you're in a Cat A. If you're slightly less, Cat B, Cat C.
Is it high risk of recidivism or high risk danger to society?
It's a bit of both. So it's about the danger. Really, the origin of the definition is about danger to society. But obviously within that is recidivism. And as psychologists, and you would hope that the criminal justice system broadly is about trying to reduce the risk. So any work that we're doing, any rehabilitation type work, any work with the arts, really is somehow contributing to reducing the risk. i.e. trying to change the individual, help that individual to reform and to rehabilitate, so that hopefully one day they can be released.
Definitely. And I know that, I can relate to the sort of being offered the opportunity, you take the opportunity and maybe didn't have any preconceived idea that this was going to be an area that you'd be really interested in. I think that happens to a lot of us. And my first research was with nicotine as a treatment for ADHD in children. Right. I had no idea, and that was what got me interested in working with kids. And so it's kind of surprising somehow how it just kind of takes over that path that you end up following. So how did that, was part of your experience as an RA, it involved elderly prisoners, or was it another branch?
Yeah, that was building on from some of the arts work that we'd already done. So we interviewed offenders and published papers around kind of short-term impact, long-term impact, but broadly across the prison population. And then we became interested in there's different groups of individuals taking part here. Alongside also the charity that was conducting the art projects, also wanting us to review how does this work with the older population that we. And I think at that point in time, they just happened to be in prisons where older offenders were starting to take part. So, one of the biggest selling points for the project is offenders talking about the project to other offenders in prison. And I think that from the interviews, certainly the people that I've spoken to, that seems to be the biggest factor that encourages other people to take part in the project. They hear from other people on their wing. They hear the final performance when the people are playing their CD and the sound of that final performance that they produce, and they get interested because particularly if you're an older offender, often there's not a lot of activity that's really relevant for you or even accessible to you. A lot is built around the kind of typical 20-year-old male offender, and it's kind of a system that's one size fits all, and everyone's trying to push everyone into the same system. So to have something that's a bit different and something that potentially fulfills some of the needs or supports some of the needs of specific offenders is quite useful.
Yesterday, when you were presenting your research, you operationally defined older inmate. How do you define that?
Yeah, so we tend to, in research terms, we tend to talk about older offenders being 50 plus, which might horrify some people. And the older I'm getting, that horrifies me as well.
You have no idea.
But I think part of that is about, it's not necessarily the number, but it's about the level at which their cognitive abilities are declining, really. So we talk about this accelerated aging process. Right. And I mean, if you kind of step back for a moment and think about what the experience might be for an older offender, particularly if they've spent a long time in prison, maybe they've grown old in prison, to be in your cell day after day, to have contact with the same few people who you might just happen to get on with. Maybe you don't get on with anyone, you don't have much contact with people. Then not really having many activities that are accessible to you. So, maybe if you're an offender who's got mobility issues, for example, and I've spoken to lots of older offenders with some kind of mobility issue. One of the regular activities might be to go outside and exercise, but that individual finds that challenging. And therefore there's not a lot for them to do. So cognitively,
the cognitive declines would be accelerated because of the isolation.
Yeah.
There's another issue that came up. Another one of the speakers yesterday talking about male issues and testosterone. Is it fair to say that the older inmates would begin to mellow? I think that's the right word. They would become less aggressive as they age.
I think there's probably a lot of factors that contribute to that. I think generally speaking, you might expect that. I think the type of offence, the personality, all things like that might contribute. So it might be slightly more complex. I think it's fair to say that a lot of older people become vulnerable in prison. So vulnerable to other offenders committing offences against them in prison, which is a big issue. And I mean that might be part of the whole becoming more mellow in prison, and seeing that as a kind of vulnerability trait.
Because even those of us who are not in prison, you begin to mellow over time. Just normally, people who drank heavily in their 30s and 40s suddenly stop in their 50s and 60s. So these things sort of end anyway. They're sort of self-limiting. And I'm assuming that in prison, that all of that is accelerated or telescoped.
That's the idea. The idea of the accelerated aging process. That it happens so rapidly that your 50-year-old is more like a 60-year-old outside.
And you mentioned, tell us a little bit about the program. What program you guys implemented that you've referred to?
Right, so we haven't been involved in the actual running of the program. So really our role was to be independent researchers assessing and trying to look whether the program had any advantages or whether it was beneficial. So it's actually a charity in the UK that spend time travelling around the prisons in the UK. And they have sort of specialised people who run tutors that go into prison to run the program. And offenders will volunteer to take part in the program. So it will be advertised, and prisoners will volunteer to take part. And the idea is they're then taken off of their usual routine regime in prison for a week, and they will spend a week going to meet with the same group of people to develop their skills around playing gamelan music instruments. So it's from Indonesia. And there's very kind of specific ways of playing, so in terms of rhythms and pitches and patterns. And the whole program is about trying to work towards the final performance. So it's taking a group of individuals. Some might know each other or know of each other, but they might be in different wings of the prisons. Maybe they haven't socialised with each other before. Different backgrounds, different offences, sometimes different age groups, and they will spend a week, which you can imagine is quite intense, a week with the tutors, with each other, and a lot of the skills mean that they've got to listen to each other, they've got to work out patterns with each other, they've got to try things out and see if it works and decide whether it sounds good, and all those skills really, what we're finding is actually it's more than just the music, it's more than just the skill, but there seems to be a lot of beneficial factors that also come out taking part in the program. But the final performance seems to be a really good focus for them and something that they also get something from that in terms of they've got the recording, they do this final performance, they can invite, depending on which prison they're in, sometimes they will allow them to invite people from outside, so that their family, friends, they will have people from their wings, they'll have prison officers that all attend that final performance. It's recorded, and then they get that CD that some of them choose to keep and use as a kind of self-meditation or something to help them remember a place. They often talk about that week being a level of normality for them, so the fact that they've been in prison so long, and that sense of all the things that go with being in prison, suddenly for a week they feel like they've been treated like a normal person and they can socialise like a normal person. And they seem to use that music and CD as a place to go back to that week and remember what that was like. So, we've had people that have mentioned, that maybe they've been going about their normal business on the wing, suddenly they feel angry for one reason or another, and they've started to, and no one's taught them this is something they've developed themselves. They've decided to go back to the self, put the CD on and just spend a moment, almost in meditation. That's how we frame it, but it's not their words, but that's how we frame it.
That's how they kind of talk about it.
Yeah.
It's sort of meditative.
So a place to take them, to remove them from whatever's making them angry and to kind of take them back to a positive place.
Now this is a 1 week intervention.
Yeah.
So my thinking here, as I'm sure everybody else feels the same way, what if you did this on a regular basis? What if you did it monthly for
with the same
10
group?
years? With the same individual.
And it's funny because sometimes when I've done the interviews and I've sort of said, is there anything else that you want to tell me or opportunity to say? And they'll often say, can't we make it a month?
Do it again.
Can't we come back again next week? And I'd like to,
I would think that they would want to continue doing it.
yeah. I haven't spoken to anyone in all of the interviews that I've done that has said, well, I'd never do it again. It's always seems to be something that they really want to come back. And it's more about they want to know how soon, when can it come back and do it.
Well, I think that your point in the normalization of life for them is really, really important because I do some forensic work, and so I'll go in, and mine is mostly for courts and for sentencing and for those kinds of things, not really for treatment or intervention or anything like that. But and one of the things that you do here frequently is the significant removal of normal life and the sort of introduction of almost complete criminalistic type behavior or thoughts or ideas, because you're in a setting where you're surrounded by other people who have committed crimes and have engaged in problematic behavior, and your point earlier that we don't really think about prisoners becoming victims, and so these people are victimized in those settings, and to have an opportunity to get out and to have something that reminds them of being a normal, just a human, not a prisoner, but a human, which will be powerful.
And I think there's a couple of things around that as well, that the kind of philosophical standpoint that we take on what prison should be, I think often influences that. So, some people would believe that prison is about removing someone from society for safety, which, okay, that's true. Some people would say they need to be punished. And I think, as much as, the prisons that I've been to, I would say it's punishment just to be housed in somewhere in that environment. It seems significant enough to me that if you're going to be there for years, that acts as a punishment in itself. But I think also we know that from some of the evidence that punishment doesn't work. There's lots of evidence in different ways and with different samples that suggest that it's not the most effective. There are other ways. Education seems to be one of the strongest in terms of, certainly if you take that standardised measure around recidivism, which I have all kinds of issues with, and what that really means, but when do you measure recidivism and how long do you wait and all those kind of things. But in terms of the studies that have been conducted in education, there's some evidence there to suggest that it works. So I think, your philosophical standpoint, again, if it's about rehabilitation before reducing risk, then there's questions around what that environment should be like, and making it an environment sort of alien from the outside world, and then sort of saying, oh, you're low risk, off you go, kick you into the outside. And you can understand why some people then want to go back inside, because so many offenders talk about the fact that they know how it works inside. And now they're on the outside and they've got nowhere to live, they haven't got a job, they don't know how, really basic things that we all take a bit for granted. The number of times I've spoken to offenders where they said, well, I tried to get advice from this person who said, oh, just call this number. And they said, well, how do I call this number? How do I speak to that person? Really basic things that sometimes we don't even think about, but being in prison where you've not done that for many years, when you've grown up in prison, there's a big question mark around, actually those skills are now gone.
Or you went in, you mentioned during your talk, you went in with a flip phone, and you came out with a smartphone. How would you ever manage a smartphone when you went in and could have gone in pre-flip phone?
Well, what that reminds me of, I'm a movie person. So Shawshank Redemption demonstrated that really, really well.
Seeing that, I was going to actually put a link to that scene on my slides, but obviously the videos
didn't work.
Unfortunately, it wasn't working. But I was going to show the clip where Red talks about, we all just become institutionalized. We're also used to this, and I think it's a moment in the film that captures something that helps us just get a little bit of insight. Is it as close as we can probably imagine without it happening to us.
One of the many things that I'm going to take from this conference is you and Dr. Laura woke me up about the prison population, because it is a forgotten population. They are hidden, they're taken away, and we forget. We have a large prison population in our country, and I don't know who's doing the work, but in the UK, is there financial support for the work that you do? Because the work that you do is going to ultimately address what role prisons play in our culture. Is it punishment? Is it restitution? Is it restoration? Is there support for what you're doing there?
I think Laura can probably talk to you a little bit more about this in her podcast, given that she's managed to secure funds to support some of this research. And I think with any research that requires funding to conduct it, it's always going to be a challenge. There's always going to be competition, and I think it is more challenging. But again, I'm sure Laura can tip it. Put that one in somewhere, and that means you have to watch another podcast. There was something I was just going to mention that off the back of what you said earlier as well. Just thinking from the opposite side of things, around the evidence of, and I sort of mentioned it in my talk and didn't really go into enough depth, I think, about it, but almost the opposite end of the spectrum around the issues with short-term sentences, and around the evidence of individuals who go into prison actually come out of prison with more criminal activity skills than they went into prison.
Absolutely.
Maybe through survival, maybe through, hey, let's learn some
also
skills together. And I think there's an issue around that, and around the environment, because just something to think about again from a developmental point of view, obviously.
Well, absolutely. We have a phenomenon in the U.S. and especially in our state of Florida, where for a long time juveniles could be sentenced to life in prison. Even if you committed an offense at the age of 16, you could have been sentenced to life in prison, and we don't have a parole system, which means that if you were sentenced to life in prison, you spent the rest of your life in prison. And so, wonderfully, the Supreme Court kind of realized that there's some neurobiology that we need to think about, and some neuropsychological development that we should think about. And so we started going in and doing reevaluations of these individuals who were sentenced to life as juveniles and evaluating them later. And there's this marked difference that you can see between individuals who did exactly what you're talking about, and they get in, and regardless of their behavior before going into prison, they are, they have really gone in the criminal direction. They have tattoos all over their body, and they are, have all kinds of detention referrals and all this kind of stuff. Then there's another group who straight and narrow, it straightened them out, as you would say. And it's fascinating to see what those differences would be. We get into the idea of resilience, right? When you're put into those kinds of situations, people who had no idea that they would ever be able to be released, but still chose not to go in that direction of gangs and other violent behaviors and stuff. So it's really, I found that very interesting to see how those two populations are different. Yeah.
Speaking of developmental issues in prisons, differential in our field, differential assessment leads to differential interventions. We talk about differential instruction. In my work with behavior disorders, we have differential interventions depending on what your problem is. There's, as far as I know, there's no, this is a question. Is there any...
I know the answer.
You will. You will. And if you don't, I know somebody who else will. Is there any effort to differentiate? Well, we talked a little about this the other day. Is there any effort to differentiate these populations, because some are intractable and are not going to change and they're going to remain in danger, no matter how long or how short. Others can be rehabilitated. I'm sure you get a sense of who's who, even in your short time with them. Is there any effort to differentiate?
I guess there's no direct measures. I think part of what I spoke about earlier in terms of categories of prisons, I think the idea is that if someone is really that seriously at risk, they will be in a higher category of prison and they've got to work their way through to be released.
Can they work their way? They work their way through the system. It's a level system.
Down the system. The idea, the lowest level is this idea of an open prison. So you've got some restriction and some openness. So
we don't have that. But that does not exist here. And that does not exist in the U.S. When you were talking about those levels of prisons, I assumed that they were static. That once you were placed at level 5, you never got out of level 5. You're saying that you could go to level 4.
So you can't move around, yeah.
Oh, that's very different.
But again, it's the risk, the whole risk.
Based on risk. And risk, I'm assuming, is as difficult there as it is for us. Because we're asked to measure risk of potential violence as which students might be school shooters. It's very difficult to
we obviously have tools to help with trying to measure risk assessment tools. And there's lots of different ones that might be used on different populations.
Do you use those?
I'm not trained to use any of them.
Do you use risk assessment tools?
So I may teach about some of them, but I'm not trained to use them.
It's beyond this interview, but I would like to talk to you about the risk assessments.
Okay.
Great. So, your future research is going to focus more specifically with the aging prisoner population.
Yeah.
But with the same intervention, similar intervention?
So I think possibly, I think there's more work to be done around the same intervention, but I think there's far more work globally around older offenders to be done. And certainly, whilst I was writing up the paper and analysing the data for this piece of research, I had lots of conversations with Laura around, gosh, this is a real issue, and we're finding out about the issue not necessarily directly relating to the arts. There's other issues in the data that emerge that don't really speak to the arts intervention, but really highlight this is a problem for older populations. So there was certain individuals that I spoke to where there was definite signs of dementia and things going on, which how aware of the prisons are, I don't think they are. And then you're asking that individual to engage in what a mainstream violent offender treatment program or something, and it's almost a waste of money, because this program costs a lot of money and you're asking someone to engage in it who isn't going to get the most out of it. And there's a waiting list, and should they be right? But do they need something else? Are the other issues being addressed, and if they're not being addressed, how much will they get from that program? So I think mental health generally is probably another topic for another talk. But I think mental health needs to be on the agenda as well. And again, there's a lot of research supporting the levels of mental health that aren't recognised broadly across the criminal population in prisons. But yeah, specifically with older offenders, we're in the early days of trying to put together the next bit of research on older offenders, because we think there's a lot more that needs to be understood about them. It's obviously a pressing issue because the population is the fastest growing population not just in the UK and England and Wales, but in the US, in the Philippines. It's definitely a problem. And like I said in my talk the other day, it didn't take much googling to find newspaper articles and sort of press releases around the issue in the Philippines as well, and probably more so as well to a greater extent. In terms of the physical space to house offenders and older offenders. So yeah, we have plans to kind of do far more research on it.
Well, that's great.
Thank you for
So
doing
watch
this.
this space.
That's right. Well, then how can listeners follow what you're doing, learn more about what you've done, and follow what you're planning to do in the future?
So we're both Laura and myself are on Twitter. And we've used it a little bit over the conference to release some of the just links to some of the papers that we've recently published around the arts and offenders and the older offenders paper. And we're going to be continuing to put some links up there as things come out and let you know what we're doing in terms of research. But we both have profile pages as well. So I've got a Google Scholar account if you're interested in looking at some of the research that's just Dr. Wilkinson on Google Scholar. So you can find me through Google if you're really interested to read some of the papers. And like I said, through Twitter I'll kind of communicate some of the projects that I'll be working on and before release anything in terms of publications.
Good. And we'll have all that posted.
Yeah, for links to all that in the show notes.
Right.
Thank you. Cool.
Well, Dr. Wilkinson, it was great to talk with you. It was great.
And you have to say, thank you, Dr.
I was going to say,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, thank you, Dr. Wilkinson.
This is obnoxious.
We're interviewing ourselves.
I'm never going to do this again.
Is this the enemy?
But it was fantastic talking with you, and we'll definitely be staying in touch and learning more about what you're doing. So.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
Dr.
I've strangely enjoyed it. I thought I'd be a nervous wreck, but I've strangely enjoyed it.
Thank you for the work that you do. It's really, really fascinating and necessary.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for sharing this episode of the Mental Breakdown and Psychreg podcast. Be sure to check out the show notes for links to follow us on Twitter and subscribe to our YouTube channel, where you will find all of our previous podcasts and much more. We would be honored if you would become a patron through patreon.com, where any donation you can manage will go to the development and creation of more content. Just visit patreon.com/thementalbreakdown for more information. Thanks again for listening. Have an awesome day, and we look forward to being back in your feed tomorrow morning.
Thank you.